Welcome to Women in the Arena podcast, the podcast celebrating women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. I'm your host, Audra Egan, and our mission is to elevate the value, strength, and resilience each woman brings to the world. Without further delay, let's go ahead and start the show. Welcome in, everyone. I am so glad you're here. I am Audra Egan, your host of Women in the Arena podcast, where we celebrate women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. We have yet another remarkable woman here today that I can't wait for you to meet. Thanks for joining me, and let's start the show. Welcome in, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Today, I am joined by a very special woman, Molly Dowdy. She has nearly 20 years experience marketing the most successful technology brands in real estate and mortgage industries. She also has been awarded the most powerful woman in fintech and is a woman of influence. She's the co-founder of Next Mortgage Events. Please help me welcome Molly Dowdy. Molly, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Audra. Thanks for having me.
It is truly my pleasure of having you here, and I've been so looking forward to talking to you. Before we dive in today, do you mind telling us a little bit more about you so we can get to know you a little bit better?
Sure. So I live in Oklahoma, a small town outside of Oklahoma City, and with my family, my husband Jason and my daughters Madeline and Olivia, who are going into 7th and 6th grades. So I work from home here for Next Mortgage Events. We started this about 3 years ago. My co-founder is Jerry Yoshida, and she's in Paris, France. So we are like the funny odd couple. She's very sophisticated, Paris, France. And, but we have a lot of fun together. We started it and have grown it together. So both of us work from home, and that allows us to spend a lot of time doing the things that we love too. So
when you do the things you love, you never work a day.
Right.
Which is leading me into what our topic of conversation is, which is taking risks and how that may be transformative. So, Molly, you didn't just start out thinking, oh, I think I'm going to own a company on my own and start Next Events. Tell us a little bit about how you arrived at taking this risk and building this organization.
Okay, so I had an executive job in a company that we were very successful. We were acquiring other companies, and we were positioning ourselves for an acquisition. Everything was going well, but I had these 2 little girls at home, and I was working a lot of hours, and I wanted to work from home so that I could be around them more. It just kept getting put off. You know, we'll wait for the due diligence on this deal to go through. And let's wait until we do this major update. Let's wait until, and it just kind of kept getting pushed. And meanwhile, my girls are growing up, you know, right before my eyes. And so I started feeling a little panicky about it. And I really wanted to be able to do that job and have my family time at the same time. But it wasn't in the cards. I said that's what I wanted to do. I finally made the ultimatum, you know, in the scary conference room conversation. And they said, no, we're not going to allow you to work from home. Now, this was 3 years ago, so a lot has changed.
Yes.
Right?
Now that probably wouldn't be a big deal. But
I know.
It's has shifted on its axis in the last 6 months.
Right. Well, meanwhile, this whole time, you know, I am marketing technology to mortgage lenders, and it was an appraisal management solution. So I did a lot of customer retention work and a lot of customer experience work in my marketing role. And it became really apparent to me pretty early on that most of the C-level positions were men, white men, but it was largely women inside these organizations that were making the final technology decisions. When we got to the point, in a sales cycle, for example, that we were really talking to the actual decision maker, the one who was going to stand it up inside the mortgage lender's office, like stand that technology up, implement it, and make sure it works, they were women. And it was awesome to work with them. Part of my job was to wine and dine them, right? So take them out to dinner and send them gifts and things. And that was the favorite part of my job, because I felt like they were, of course, they were underappreciated. They didn't have the big C-suite title, but they were killing it. And they were single-handedly transforming the industry. I mean, what they were implementing were things like the full end-to-end digital mortgage. They were powering our industry into the future. And so I just loved treating them right. And I loved honoring them. That was the favorite part of my job. Well, meanwhile, I had a friend in the industry, Jerry Yoshida, and she's a PR whiz. Everyone in the industry knows her PR skills. And we had been good friends, and we started talking about, we'd go to these conferences, like the big ones that everybody goes to in our industry. And we would be at the bar talking about, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if instead of a conference like this, it was like a really nice, like, what would it be like if we had it where women were the primary demographic, and it was really nice, and we didn't have to walk for miles and miles in high heels, and it was like a luxe experience. And we just kind of were dreaming about that.
So you dreamed out loud about, yes, wouldn't this be great? Wouldn't this, yes, be nice? But while you were dreaming out loud, you put it out loud and put it in. Sometimes when you speak about it and you put it out there in the physical universe, things start to happen a little bit, kind of all by itself.
What's funny, what you're saying is that was exactly my experience, because Jerry and I had another friend in the industry, Jody Cullop. She's actually the COO at Global DMS. It's a technology company. And we were talking to her about it. And we said, would you support something like this? And she said, you count us in. You count us in right now. Well, after Jody gave us that vote of confidence and basically said, yes, I'm in and Global DMS is in, we kind of had that fire where we felt like, well, this could really be a thing. And not only that, but after Jody said we could do it, we better go and do it.
She said you can go do it. So you probably looked at each other and went, well, I guess we're doing this.
Exactly. And it was like every door opened that way. There were so many women. There's a woman at Planet Home Lending. Her name is Susie Lindblom, and everyone in the industry knows her because she's an absolute powerhouse. And she's the COO over there. And runs like multiple departments like clockwork. She's amazing. And from the first time we met her, she said, you tell me what I can do to help you. I am here 100%. Well, so that was another door that it was like, well, we can't let Susie down now. We got Jody and Susie behind. We have to do this thing. And so originally we were talking about doing it as part of our companies. But when they told me, no, I thought maybe this is a huge risk, but I could just, if I have to leave my cushy executive job and with my 401k and my health insurance and all that comes with that, to have what I really want to have, which is more time at home with my family and my girls, and really do the thing that I love doing, which is supporting women and empowering them and helping them, shining a light on their achievements. This sounds possible. And so I took that risk, put my letter of resignation in, and gave up my, equity position, and right before a big acquisition, and went home. And I have not regretted it a single. I'll tell you, this is much, much tougher. This job is much tougher than I ever expected, or any previous position I've ever had, because I really, really, really believe in what we're doing. And it's different when it's yours, and it's different when, it's funny. I used to say, I don't want a boss. Well, now I feel that every woman who's involved in the next community is my boss. So now
That's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
yes.
But you're so passionate about it, and you don't want to let anybody down. And your
Right.
organization is growing, and there are so many women that are acknowledging your organization, because there's not truly another one like it. It's very unique in that it caters to women in a certain industry space, but it's not just let's come together and talk about our jobs. It's let's come together and talk to each other, and let's talk to each other as women, as people. And your organization helps support the entire woman, and that's their jobs. That's, you also talk to them about their lives, their personal stuff. They are moms, they are wives, they are daughters, and your organization recognizes all of that and celebrates the women involved in totality, not just a piece.
Yes, that we definitely try to do that. And we work hard to create an intimate environment. When we're there in person and when we do online events, it's really collaborative. We encourage everybody to participate and to meet people. And we hear over and over and over again that it's the most open and welcoming, intimate environment, and really helps people build authentic relationships. And, that's how business gets done. I mean, in the old school world, maybe it was on the golf course. And what we wanted to build is the golf course equivalent, right? Something that we want to participate in, that also helps our careers and our businesses. So those are all things that we're hoping to build. And we hear that we are. It's really rewarding, but it's a tall order, because I do put a lot of pressure on myself not to disappoint. That's a hard thing for me.
Well, as someone has attended your events, I can say that I have never been disappointed, because I think that you do an excellent job of supporting the woman in total and a complete all around organization. But
Thank you.
you stepped out and you took a huge risk. Both you and Jerry took huge risks. And you said that you've never regretted it. What have you learned from stepping out of a comfort zone? And what I mean by comfort zone is you not only stepped out of it, you kicked it to the curb, because you walked away from a very nice position right before an acquisition with an equity, with equity invested in the organization, and you went, no, that's not good enough for me. I'm going to do this on my own. So from taking that risk, what have you learned, and what have you gained, and what has it meant to you?
One of the things I've gained that is really important to me that I was not counting on, something that really surprised me, was Jerry and I are in charge of building our own culture. And when I had always had positions in the past, you're a part of a larger culture and you want to push it in certain directions, but you don't always get your way. And sacrificing culture had always been really painful for me at other positions. So to be able to be the curators of our own culture. And so we have a salesperson now, Vanessa, and we also have a director of digital communications, Renee. And the opportunity to provide a place that is great for them is very rewarding. And I never would have expected that benefit. I never would have expected that payoff. And there are other things too. It comes with a lot of pressure and stress, but when we do something and we get a note, back from a woman who says, hey, I really appreciate the welcoming environment. It was amazing. When they send us reviews after webinars that talk about the impact that it's had, it has so much meaning to me personally. That has been more fulfilling than I would have ever thought. So those are some of the biggest the biggest payoffs. And then I do think we are moving the needle a little bit at a time in showing more wonderfully accomplished women executives in our industry. I think that there's more recognition for them. We see them more, partly because we're always posting about them in social media, but I feel like it's become more of the mainstream. I feel like we're moving the needle there, and that's really rewarding. I want more people, more young people, whenever they come in the industry, whenever they see that list of industry leaders, I want them to see more women and more people of color. And I feel like we're getting there. There's progress.
You know, forward movement is progress, and in turning, turning the ship, so to speak, isn't easy, and it's going to take some time. But you are dedicated to it, and you don't stray from your mission, which is why the needle is moving. This is probably a harder question. Now, people have heard me say this on some of my episodes before. I don't believe in mistakes. I do believe in learning lessons, because mistake is just an opportunity for you to try it again and do it better. So what learning opportunities have you had through your experience of starting your own organization?
Well,
that was a loaded laugh right there, Molly.
I'll tell you, when Jerry and I were dreaming this up, before we actually did it, I think that we thought, well, I'm a marketing wizard. You're a PR wizard. We're going to kill this, right? I think we underestimated all of those business units that both of us had worked with before that make the entirety or the organization great, right? So I went into it thinking, well, of course I can sell sponsorships to these events. Are you kidding me? Well, there is a specific set of skills that successful salespeople have that I don't have. Just like whenever we decide, okay, we're going to launch a virtual event, 100% virtual event. Well, there are entire AV and web development teams that bring those dreams to life. I think those are some of the hard lessons, we have to do it is self-funded and self-built. So we find those solutions and implement them ourselves. And doing that, all of that non-marketing work, I really underestimated. And I'm learning that every single day.
I've said this out loud, that even starting this podcast, I thought, how hard could it be? It could be pretty hard. And I'm sure that you were thinking, how hard could this be? The interesting thing is, ignorance is a blessing, because had you known how difficult it was going to be, and had I known how difficult this was going to be, we might have talked ourselves out of it. So,
oh yes, I mean, any excuse just to stay in your comfortable, that's how I am. I have to be. It was really those votes of confidence from those other ladies that it pushes you. Otherwise you can really stay in your nice but frustrating position.
Yes, because as we get older, what I've started to understand is what has become more fulfilling is the journey and the change and the impact, the positive impact that you make along the way, rather than the destination. Do you feel that to be the same way in your life?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I never get to the destination, so I better be enjoying this part,
Yeah, because there's always something to do. There's always another obstacle to climb. There's always another goal to achieve.
Yes.
And just getting older, I figured out, probably as everybody starts to figure out, is that, during the journey, you might as well have some fun along the way.
Yes, definitely.
So in taking risks, and you took a giant risk, like I said, starting this organization, has there been any stories of impact specifically that you've heard from a group of women or an individual woman that has come back to you and said, you and your organization directly impacted me positively in this way?
Sure. There's one example that comes to mind that I think you were at this event actually, but there was a young lady who came to us and we were just talking, how we do at these events. You just sit down and you just start chatting. And she started talking about how she really didn't feel like she was part of her organization. Like she didn't really fit in, or she felt like she was kind of frustrating to her boss. Well, her boss, we know she's also a member of the Next community and was at the event too. And we said, we know her. Tell her that you want to really team with her and she will help you along. Sure enough, she did that. And she came and told us, at the next event, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Everything has changed. I'm learning so much. It's much more fulfilling. So we hear things like that. And then there are also, of course, everybody reads these studies about how women feel that they need to be 110% qualified for a job in order to submit their resume.
Yes,
But
that's a very unfortunate truth.
yes, but men don't feel the same way. They'll put their hat in the ring if they feel like they meet some of the requirements. So we've encouraged women to, put yourself out there, take that risk, be on this panel. Even if you don't feel that you are an expert in X, Y, and Z, we think you are. We think that you have something to add to this conversation. And when they start putting themselves out there more in a leadership role and start shining more lights on their accomplishments, then their career and their businesses grow. So we've seen this happen with individual women. I mean, countless of them. It's been very rewarding.
So your group is not just an opportunity for women to connect with each other. You're literally transforming lives and women's experiences within their profession. And therefore, it translates into a transformation within their families as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, a better position or better pay, more satisfaction in your position, even just becoming a better leader, it translates to everything.
So there are definitely some women out there that have had a dream in the back of their head that, gosh, I wish I could do this, or if I was brave enough to do this, or if the time was right, or all of that. And that entire inner dialogue that we go through all the time. But someone's listening and has that dream. What would you say to them about taking the risk to try it?
I would say get yourself an account with a domain registrar. That's number one, so that you can buy your domain name. It is $7. Whatever you've been dreaming up or thinking up, and buy the domain name. That's the first step. It's a tiny bit of money, and then you just sit on it. And it's just one step at a time, but throw up a website. I mean, there are all these templates and everything. So there are ways to just take one step at a time and then adjust your sales as you need to. So if you put a website up and nobody's looking at it, you can either, share about it on social media, or maybe you need to adjust something on the website, but you've got to be able to iterate quickly. So change things, adapt. I hate this word because it's so VC sounding, but pivot. Because what you put out there the first time is going to be far from perfect, right?
Yeah.
But
So just try it is what you're saying, is that whether you're qualified or not, just try it.
Just try it and adjust as you need to. And you'll need to. That's the thing. You just have to accept, one of the Jerry gets really frustrated. My co-founder, Jerry Yoshida, we talk for hours every day in meetings, and she gets real frustrated because she'll say, I know we're missing something important. And what she wants me to do is remind her of what it is that we're missing, but I don't know either, right? I am sure we are missing something important. And that's what I say to her. Yes, I'm sure we are missing something important. That is inevitable. Accept it. It's not going to go right. Accept it. it's how you deal with it and how you change and adapt. That is what's going to mean the difference between like total failure and success. So, yes, things are going to go wrong. Just make peace with that. Accept it, know it's coming, and be ready to go.
Have you found that the degree between success and failure is actually pretty small?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it really is just when you keep pushing at something, you might be having repeated learning opportunities, because remember, we don't fail and we don't make mistakes. We have learning opportunities, but the degree between that and reaching success becomes smaller and smaller and smaller every time you do it.
Yeah, it really does. And you get all these gifts. Like you learn all these things that you didn't even know you needed to know. And so like what you're saying, we don't make mistakes. There are all these opportunities that come with even what you might consider before was a mistake. Other doors will open.
Wow. You know what you just said? I think bears repeating, of what you thought was mistakes before may not be. Would just restate that for me, because I think that is something that is powerful enough that is going to resonate very, very loudly.
I just believe that no matter, I mean, mistakes are going to happen, like major roadblocks, big challenges are going to happen. You're going to get told no over and over again. But other doors open. When you move forward, you may not you may not end up in the exact direction that you dreamt, but you will end up somewhere different than you are. It's not a mistake. There are all these opportunities that come and all these different things that you didn't even know you needed to know, and all these things that you hadn't even considered before. And it's just a gift. So I just encourage people to take the risk, and it doesn't have to be all at once. It can be tiny little steps at a time.
Molly, thank you for giving us that advice and a small road map to figure out how to take those steps forward and take those risks a little bit at a time. Maybe that's the exact thing that someone needs to hear to take the first scary step.
I hope so. And I want to hear all about it. So find me on LinkedIn and tell me all about it. I'd love to.
Molly Dowdy, she's wonderful and fantastic, and we'll make sure that her website is linked when we post about our new episode. So Molly, it's test time. Are you ready for your test?
I think so.
Did you study?
Well, I've listened to previous episodes, so if you ask me the same questions, I think I'm ready to go.
I ask everybody the same 3 questions because I'm fascinated by the responses. It's the same 3 questions, but the answers are so different, and they're as different and unique as each one of the women that are on my show. So I get a kick out of it. So are you ready for the first question?
I'm ready.
Okay. What are you currently reading?
So I'm going to put on my new pajamas and I'm going to start a book by Magdalena Yesil. Magdalena, and it's Yesil, and it's called Power Up: How Women Can Succeed in the New Economy. She's going to be our keynote speaker at Next Summer 20, and she is the first investor in Salesforce, a founding board member there. Then she started her own VC firm called Broadway Angels, which is all women investors. She has several other companies. I mean, she's like a Silicon Valley legend. And I haven't read the book yet. I'm excited to start it because I really do believe that women are uniquely suited to succeed with technology. I believe they're uniquely suited to lead companies in the ways that are really paying dividends today. And so I'm excited to read her book.
She sounds like an amazing woman, just a powerhouse. I think I'm going to go pick it up so I can read it and then ask you questions later after your event so I can understand what she's like.
Okay.
My second question for you is, what are you currently learning?
So I am spending a lot of time on Zoom calls, and we're getting ready to launch our 100% virtual event. So I am on a small little Zoom screen for 12, 13, 14 hours a day, working on this and talking to speakers and doing planning session calls. What I am learning about now is how to make a good impression on video. So on video calls, how can you stand out? How can you kind of cheat? You know, if you're not a makeup wearer like I'm not, and how can you show up in 5 minutes and make an impression and be credible on video? So that's what I'm learning about. And interesting, you want me to share a little secret that I've learned?
Yes, especially in this current environment.
Okay, so Amy Razak, she is a coach in our industry, and she came on and did a webinar. And what she has studied is body language. So in her sales positions as a sales coach, she teaches people how to read body language. And what she says is on these Zoom calls, on these video calls, you've got to show your hands because it's sort of like a primitive. This is how people see if they can trust you, if they believe what you're saying, if you're credible. So if your hands are open and showing and you talking with your hands, you come across as more credible and more trustworthy than if you're sitting on your hands or they can't see your hands. I think that is fascinating. So I'm not a hand talker is the problem. Like some people are just natural hand talkers. So she gave me this sheet. She said, just make it a habit to hold a pen and you'll have your hand up. You'll have, something that is moving around that is more than just your head. And it has made a huge difference. It just helps to emphasize points. This is something that Jerry does. So she'll put her reading glasses on and then she'll take them off, when she wants to say something really important. And so those types of, it's almost like stage presence is what people need to learn today.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm learning about.
Who knew we would all have to be ready to be newscasters?
Seriously.
Who knew?
I know.
I would never have guessed it, but yet here we are.
Here we are.
In the age of video conferencing. My last question for you is, the question is, what's next? And I didn't mean to pun it, but there it is. So what's next?
Well, next is a community of women in the mortgage industry. And it's not like there's an association or a membership or anything. We have a website we put out a daily e-newsletter. It's called Next Up. And it just has information about the industry, important information. We highlight women executive hires, and you can subscribe for free and get it in your inbox every day. And then we do several events a year. So we have an event in November called Next DC 20. And it is everything housing and policy related. And check this out. We're going to do it 1 week after the election. So
wow.
Election, all the housing and policy experts are going to get together and discuss, what does this mean? What's going to happen? Where do we go from here? And so we are really excited to host that forum.
Talk about taking a risk.
I know, and it's completely free. Anyone can register. There are no registration fees. We want this conversation to be open and accessible to everyone. So you just go to nextdc20.com and register and you're good to go.
Will it be in person or is it going to be video again?
100% virtual. So you can watch it in your pajamas on your couch.
Everybody get comfy pajamas. Highly recommend.
With a glass of wine.
That'll be fascinating. Like I said, that's definitely stepping outside the box, because if it's 1 week after the election, you don't have a whole lot of time to prepare. So that is live and ready to go.
Well,
That'll
I
be
know,
fun to watch.
yeah, we were thinking, well, we can't pre-record the sessions. I mean,
No,
it's the latest intel. So, and the speaker lineup is crazy. I mean, it's going to be really fun.
that'll be a whole lot of fun to watch. I look forward to doing that. That'll be a great time. So, Molly, before I let you go, I want to give you an opportunity to make a final statement to the audience about risk.
I mean, in a different universe from many of their male counterparts, and many of them already have executive positions, and they had to be the best to get where they are. And I see over and over again how incredibly accomplished and talented they are. If any of you are thinking about taking any kind of risk, know that I am your Jody Collip, your Susie Lindblom, your Jerry Yoshida. We are in your corner, and we will help you and shine a light on the things that you're doing. So you've got our votes of confidence. Now just take one step at a time.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you for you being so encouraging and agreeing to be on my show and share some of your experiences and your wisdom with us. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Audra, for having me. And thank you for doing this, because you're having conversations with women, and you're doing great work. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing it not just for me, I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for all of us, because I want to help change the world one interview at a time. So
you're doing it.
Well, thank you. And Molly, thank you again for being here. And thank you all for listening. And we'll see you again next time. That's our show. Before I let you go, I have some business that I need to get to. First, I want to thank my guests. I am continually awed at your generosity of spirit and the vulnerability that you continue to bring to our conversations. To you, my audience, you are incredible. Thank you for growing with me, and I hope that I continue to exceed your expectations. And to my team that helps me pull this off every single week. To our composer, Star Diva, who is amazingly talented. To Alan Bruckner, our graphic designer. Thank you for taking my crazy ideas and giving it life. To Savannah Boster, our social media manager. You do this so much better than I ever could. And last, but certainly not least, our producer, my number one son, Gavin Egan. Thank you for supporting your mom with her dream. I couldn't do this without you, kid. Please follow us on our socials at Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at arena_women. See you next week. That's our show. I am so grateful for each and every one of you and your unwavering support and your continued belief in this movement that has become much bigger than me, much bigger than just a podcast. It has become this forward momentum that we are all doing together. If you are ready, or you know somebody that is ready to tell your story and share your value with the world, please connect with me. You can reach me at audra@womeninthearena.net. I am so honored and thankful that you will share your story with me, and I'll make sure that it is well taken care of. I will never stop thanking each and every one of you, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next week as we share another woman's story and we celebrate her doing extraordinary things in plain sight. We'll see you next time. This is just the beginning.